Ready to say goodbye, scrolling, and escape the web? This AI tool lets the web come to you, delivering exactly what you need when you need it. Just like we set up the Google Search GPT in part 1, adding the AI web browsing is just as easy and, more importantly, just as free. Let's do this. Hey there, it is I versus AI. In order to update our Google Search GPT, we're going to head back here to Relevance.ai, where we're going to click on Create a Tool, which will take us to this area where the Relevance.ai team has created a lot of tools ready-made for us to drop right into our GPT. The tool that we are going to add is this Scrape and Summarize website tool, which we'll need to modify in order to clone. Now remember, you want to use modify. If you click on use, that'll simply let you try the tool out, add a website, all of that, but we want to actually clone this tool so we can add it to our own GPT. You'll click continue on the agree to clone this tool, and you'll see down in the bottom right hand corner, as we just saw, that the tool is now been cloned and you're in the build area. You can simply save the tool by heading up to the top corner here, clicking on the save button. But first, let me show you a little bit about how this works, because as we use these tools, you're going to want to modify them for your own personal use cases, and so it's a good idea to see how they're working behind the scenes. Every tool can have knowledge added to it, but what we want to focus on in this tool are the user inputs. This is where you can test out the tool, put in a website here, the objective of the scraping, and remember that these questions will be filled in by ChatGPT every time it makes a request through the API to use this tool. But for testing, let's go ahead and try this on a blog from Relevance.ai themselves, talking about retrieval augmented generation, which I'm interested in. It's a way of adding knowledge to your GPTs or your AIs, but it gets pretty complicated right about here. So I'm going to grab the URL from this site as an example and drop it here, and state that my objective is to explain this blog post in simple terms. Now I'm just going to click on Run All in the top right hand corner. The website content is extracted. You can view it all here. And the large language model that is inside this tool gets through all of the text and gives us a very simple summary, which is the same as what ends up here in the tool output. The tool output is basically the information that's passed back to ChatGPT. So keep in mind, this tool has its own large language model within it, which I'm going to show you how to remove later on, because it's not necessary to use two large language models. You can, but basically what you'll be getting when you use this with ChatGPT is a summary of the summary. So I'll show you how to remove this large language model later on, but don't worry, you don't have to. You can use the tool just as is, and it will work. Now let's save it, hitting the save button or Control plus S, and then go back, hitting this arrow key in the top left-hand corner. You'll see I have 3 different tools here. The Google Search tool, which we've already learned about, the new Scrape and Summarize website tool we're adding, and the Modified tool, which I will talk to you about later. Now let's get this new tool into our GPT. Let's head back up into the corner and hit New. And what we're looking for is this Custom Actions GPTs area here in the top right-hand corner, which takes us to this super cool, super handy, easy way to add any of the Relevance.ai tools to your custom GPT, complete with instructions. What you're looking for are your tools here. All of the tools that you have will show up here. I'm going to select Scrape and Summarize Website and Google Search. That will give us a Generate API key, which I'll click on, copy, and head on over to ChatGPT. I'm going to go to Explore GPTs, head to My GPTs. If you haven't yet seen part 1, you can go ahead and just create a new GPT here. We're going to update the one we've already created, and that takes us to the Configure tab. Now, little side note here, I have taken the time to write a really long prompt, very detailed for this GPT, which is linked in the description below, including search operators, which I will talk about later. Search operators are a way to give you even more power when you are using this GPT. We're going to head down here to agents.relevance.ai, and we're going to update the API key. I learned that when you add a new tool, you do need to take the new API key and copy and paste it here. Ensure that you have the authorization type of basic set and click save. Heading back to Relevance AI, we'll need to generate our Open API schema. Now, you'll see here that it says Open API, and up here it says Open AI, and I did explain in the previous episode the difference, but trust me, it's not a typo. I'm going to click copy here, select the schema that is already in place, click paste, and then click format. You should now see two tools here, the Scrape Summarize Website tool and the Google Search tool. Now, before we hop out to give this a whirl, one important step, and that is to add the following line to your schema. Just below the description here, this is the tool here, Scrape Summarize Website, Summary, Description. Just here, we're going to hit the Enter key, and we're going to paste in the following. X OpenAI is consequential false. This basically will stop the tool from constantly asking you to approve every single request that is made. In other words, every time you ask for a Google search or you ask for it to follow a link, it will ask you for a approval, and you don't want to do that every time. This will allow you to have a button called Always Allow, which means you only have to be asked for permission once when using this GPT. There's one more place that we need to add this because we have two tools on board. This Google Search tool, we're going to also add it here in the same way. Description, hit enter, paste that line in, and then the most important thing is to click Format just here to format this line correctly. We now have these tools working. So let's update this GPT and give it a whirl with some real life use cases. Yay! Our new Google Search GPT is ready. Let's give it a whirl by searching for another soup recipe. How about corn chowder this time? Here is the request that I was speaking about. You'll only need to do this once. I loved finding out that there was a piece of code that we could add to the schema that would stop us from having to click allow every single time, because that would get extremely tedious very quickly. Let's click Always Allow and get some soup recipes. When the GPT is making a call out through the API, you'll see talked to agents.relevance.ai. You can click on it, which I encourage you to do, to see what the GPT is asking for on your behalf, how it's wording the search request, which once we get into search operators, you'll definitely want to know how it's using those. You'll definitely want to see. It'll help you learn how to use search operators better. So I've gotten one recipe here for a corn chowder recipe on Simple Joy. Let's go ahead and find out what other people are saying about this recipe. On most recipe sites, like Simple Joy's recipe site, there are often comments where people will talk about how they used the recipe, how it was, what they improved upon, if they were missing an ingredient, what they substituted it with, etc. But now, instead of sitting here and reading through all of this to find out what people are saying about this recipe, we can just ask our GPT. The GPT heads back out, uses our new browsing scraping tool to get that information, and gives us some positive feedback. That's so cool. It actually is naming people. That's really neat. It also comes back with some modifications and suggestions that people made in the comments, some questions and clarifications, general sentiments, etc. The GPT tells us that Marissa added her own twist with carrot, celery, Italian seasoning, garlic, and onion powder, and adjusted the broth and cream for more liquid, and she enjoyed the outcome. Just to make sure that the GPT is not hallucinating this information, let's double check. Yep, Marissa did add carrots and celery, Italian seasoning, along with garlic and onion powder in place of thyme and bay leaves, just as the GPT reported back. It works! Now, you can always grab your Google Search GPT here in the sidebar, but my favorite way to use this, especially on mobile, is to call the GPT using the @ symbol. The recent GPTs that you've used are right here at the top, and I swear this is really an under-the-radar feature that ChatGPT has that I never see anyone talking about, but it's so cool. And once you start doing it, if you're just in a chat and you're like, you know what, I need some information on whatever this is, you just call up your Google Search GPT and do a quick search for it. So let me show you how this could get pretty fun with some real life use cases for how to use this Google Search GPT. So let's say that you want to get up to date on artificial intelligence and would like a really well-reviewed beginner-friendly course. You don't mind which site it comes from. It can come from any of the course sites. So let's see what we get using our Google Search GPT. It's come back with 3 courses. They all happen to be on Coursera, but if you wanted to try a different course site, you could just simply ask for that. I've done this before and it has come back with other course sites as well too when asking for courses. So I've instructed it to, and it gives a basic price. But let's say you wanted to find out some more information. Let's follow this AI for Everyone, which is $49 a month. It's a subscription-based model. All right, here's that course page. It has a lot of information here on it. There are modules here with examples. It gives information on the instructor, other courses you may be able to take here, and what people are speaking about. If I were trying to choose a particular course, all of this information to choose from could get very overwhelming very quickly. So let's have our GPT take care of that for us. I'm going to ask for a comparison chart for all of the courses. And I'm going to let ChatGPT give me all of the factors it thinks I would need to know in order to make an informed decision. Okay, this table is incredible. It has target audience, course duration, key topics covered. It has stuff in here I wouldn't have even thought to ask about. And it's all neatly laid out side by side so that you can decide what is best for you with minimal effort and maximum information with which to make your choice. This is a fantastic use case for your own custom GPT. The fact that we can do this now just honestly really blows me away. It's just a night and day change from the overwhelm that I used to experience when needing to make a difficult choice between a lot of different options. This is just wonderful. I hope you think so as well too. Now let's move on to something else that also requires a lot of decision making. Choosing between several different products on Amazon.com. It's been pretty hot out lately and I need a new portable air conditioner from Amazon. Please link me to 3 different products and they need to be under $300. Use the site search operator. Let's take a moment to talk about search operators. This article from Ahrefs that I've linked down below gives you an overview of advanced search operators. Basically, they allow you to filter down your search results and narrow them down to more specific results. For example, the site operator means that you're saying only search within this domain for the following word. There are a lot of search operators, so I highly recommend that you look through this list. There's 2 reasons why I included it in the prompt. One, for you to have a reference, because you wouldn't know if you don't know what you can search for using search operators, but also to really hammer it home to the GPT what is currently working as of this recording for the search operators. Many of these search operators have been around for almost as long as Google has, but they do sometimes deprecate search operators. So I've included a working list and then an unreliable but still possibly working list, as well as instructions for both you and the GPT on ideas for how to use these search operators. For example, here's a really cool one real quick. I have all the manuals for my computer, but let's say I lost one and needed the PDF. I could go searching for it, or I could simply ask GPT to find the PDF to my manual, which it does. You can simply click on it and be taken directly to the PDF, which you can then print out or download. Okay, we are doing our Amazon search, and it's come up with some portable air conditioners under $300, and it's even including a picture of them. This is really cool. If you want to see that the GPT has used the search operator, cite Amazon.com. This is the search operator. I have found that it's a good idea to ask it to use the search operator. Sometimes it won't do that on its own. So that's why it's a good idea to know what the list of operators are so you know exactly what to request. Because there are some great search operators here. Besides file type and site that I just showed you, try something like weather, stocks, map, or even movie. And if you want, for example, fresh news, like I do about AI in a field that moves so quickly, I might ask for news about ChatGPT that is after, say, July 1st of this year. Okay, we've got 3 air conditioners to look at. Let's take a look at all 3 of them. 2 of the links take us directly to the product page. Wonderful. One of the links, though, did not and took us instead to a search results page. This is why I actually modified my tool to make it a little bit more effective to ChatGPT. So let's head back into Relevance.ai and I'll show you why I modified it and how you can do the same. This is the build area for the Scrape and Summarize website tool that we've already seen. Let's make a couple of changes. Heading down to user inputs, I am going to delete this objective of scraping. We don't need it. ChatGPT basically just needs the content of the website to work with. I'm going to click the arrow here and that's gone. But we now have an arrow down below. This tool, like most automation platforms, works on a step-by-step basis, running a step, getting an output, and taking that output into further steps along the workflow. Because we deleted this parameter that the large language model needs, we have an error, but we're going to delete the large language model itself by hitting the menu and then hitting delete. There is one more thing though that we need to do. The output here is now disconnected as it's expecting something from the large language model. I'm going to actually save this for a moment and show you what happens when this output is missing. It's disconnected from the rest because I want to show you what happens if you didn't update this output section here. Let's go ahead and click run, but first put in that blog post link that we used earlier in testing from Relevance.ai. Wonderful. It's extracted the website content, but nothing has shown up here in the tool output. That's because this is not connected to this. Let's go ahead and click on output again. I'm going to actually delete this and we'll use a scrape output here and we can label this. I'll just call it output as before. I'm going to run the tool again. Wonderful. It works. Now ChatGPT will have direct access to whatever is scraped from the website, which I have noticed minimizes errors in trying to retrieve content for you. Now that we have updated the web scraper, let's go back and do that Amazon search. This time, though, I am going to ask for it to return only product pages, not search pages. And I'm going to request that it gives me images because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and I really like those images. We've got 3 different products and 3 different correct links. Okay, having your own Google Search GPT is so much better than OpenAI's Search GPT. First of all, because it's available now. I'm still stuck on the wait list. But it's even better than Perplexity because as cool as Perplexity is, it's missing one important thing that this GPT has. Personalization. You can do whatever you want with this GPT. You could build it out. You could add more tools. It is so easy. You could add a GPT that solves problems that you have in your work or in your life, like how to choose a portable air conditioner. I know that I have spent a lot of time on Amazon trying to compare between different products. And look at this. This is laid out exactly with everything I would need to make an informed decision, including what people are saying about how easy it is to install, its durability, customer highlights, overall rating. This is amazing. It's even got customer reviews here with detailed feedback for each product. I have been so overwhelmed over the years going to Amazon and trying to figure out which was the best product and spending an hour or 2 or more trying to guess between which was better for this and which was better for that. And now I can make an informed decision, not just for Amazon, but for any site I want to shop at. It's amazing. And you know, the other thing you could do is find some hidden gems and deals that you might never discover through regular browsing. Because, of course, the key to all this is having a solid foundation with your Google Search GPT and how to set it up. I've shown you how to do it kind of quick in this video, but if you haven't watched the first video, I do a step-by-step guide that walks you through the entire process, explains what the schema is, and how all of that works. And that video is on screen right now.